The multiverse trope is getting exhausting. Most of these movies just seem like lazy cash grabs to take advantage of everyone's nostalgia by giving fan service instead of providing good storytelling. But it wasn't always like this, so before I go over the problems I have with all the other ones, let's quickly take a look at the ones that are actually good. Into the Spider-Verse. This movie was a refreshing twist on the classic Spider-Man origin story, but this time instead of being Peter Parker, it's Miles Morales. It serves as a great introduction to the character, as well as a great standalone Spider-Man movie. This shit didn't even need a sequel, to be honest, but as you know, movie execs be greedy, so now it's a trilogy, and the sequel was low-key bait. Like, that shit was created just to edge us into watching a third movie. I hate when movies do that. Splitting up your second movie into two different movies, fuck you, man.
The way he leaps off of rooftops and flips backwards to face the camera before falling into a headfirst dive is just full of the exaggerated swagger of a black teen. The exaggerated swagger of a black teen. The exaggerated swagger of a black teen. It gives me goosebumps every time he does it, especially as the music begins to swell. Speaking of, we've got to talk about the music.
No Way Home. Now, this is a movie that I feel combined the multiversal elements perfectly within the storyline, balancing both fan service and great storytelling. It didn't feel like a shoehorn because not only did it bring an iconic cast of villains, it also brought back the previous Spider-Man actors to act as mentors of sorts.
Peter!
Yeah? Oh, sorry. Did you mean
that?
or
Peter.
we're all called Peter, man.
By the end of the film, we finally get to see his character mature as he comes to grips with the events of the movie. He learns how to deal with the burden of responsibility and fully grows into the role of Spider-Man, perfectly concluding this trilogy and opening the doors to a new beginning. But damn, low-key, this version of Spider-Man had it the roughest. His uncle died, and then he seemingly died from Thanos, but then he came back to see his mentor die, got framed for murder, then his aunt died, then he lost his girlfriend and best friend and his college acceptance and his home.
Damn, Daniel!
I guess it's safe to say that he's getting no action this upcoming Valentine's Day. But speaking of Valentine's Day is just around the corner. Whether you're drinking alone this time or with your honey sipping fine wine, ZBiotics will help you ease your mind. But what is ZBiotics? It's the world's first genetically engineered probiotic drink designed to help you with the rough mornings after drinking. This product is awesome because it helps me recover after a night of drinking, so I can celebrate without having to worry about the next morning. So how does it work? ZBiotics produces an enzyme that breaks down acetaldehyde. This is the byproduct of alcohol, which makes you feel bad after drinking. To use ZBiotics, all you have to do is take it before your first drink, but you still need to pace yourself and drink responsibly. Right now is the perfect time to try out ZBiotics because they're giving 15% off your first order when you click on the link in the description. And if you're not satisfied for any reason, they offer a 100% money back guarantee. So next time you grab a drink, have a ZBiotics first. When you wake up the next morning, you'll be glad you did. And the last multiverse movie that I enjoy, we have The Flash. Hey, calm down, let me cook, bro. This one is kind of a toss-up. While it's not as good as the ones I mentioned before, I still enjoyed it. I watched this movie recently, and it was actually not that bad. I went into this movie expecting much worse because of all the negative reception it received. But surprisingly, it was a pretty decent movie. Though considering it was based off of Flashpoint, I guess I shouldn't be that surprised because how do you fuck up that storyline? Although it's an ensemble film, the movie actually focuses on Barry Allen, and because this is a movie that utilizes the multiverse, it did have a lot of cameos, but most of them were pretty weak if I'm being honest. Especially the shitty CGI ones. But Michael Keaton was good, except for, the forced cringy callback lines.
You wanna get nuts? Let's get nuts.
Oh, brother!
Having two Barry Allens was done pretty well, with his younger self serving as a kind of origin story for the character, except for the fact that his younger self is annoying. But at least they addressed that, and thematically it makes sense too. However, the film started to lose me near the end. I feel like this movie is kind of long, kind of way too long, honestly. And though his character was developed a lot throughout the movie, this motherfucker still messed with the timeline at the end. Which honestly is kind of stupid when you think about it, considering the whole point of this movie was him learning how to let go. And he goes about fucking up the timeline still. Did you learn nothing in these 2 hours of film that we watched? Like, that shit was done just so they could fit in a George Clooney cameo.
Who the fuck is this nigga, bro?
But with those movies out of the way, let me get into the real meat and potatoes and go over the ones that left me thoroughly disappointed. Multiverse of Madness. This movie is what I call a stepping stone movie. A movie that doesn't stand on its own. Something that exists solely to push the overarching narrative of the MCU. Like, this movie only exists just to establish the existence of a multiverse within the MCU. And you can't go into this movie by itself. You'd need to be familiar with the events of the WandaVision series first, as that show kickstarts the entire premise of this movie. If you expected to see Doctor Strange return in his full glory to headline his own sequel, then this is not the movie for you. This movie is a slap on the face for any Doctor Strange fans, and it's essentially one big nothing burger for him because he goes through no character development at all whatsoever throughout this entire storyline. They really just slapped Doctor Strange's name on this movie just to sell more tickets. I wouldn't even consider this a sequel to the first Doctor Strange movie because it continues absolutely nothing that was established at the end of that movie. Like, oh shit, Baron Mordo's still out there.
Why are you doing this? Because I see at long last what's wrong with the world. Too many sorcerers.
Oh shit, man, they're setting up Baron Mordo to be the next villain in the Doctor Strange. I guess they're never gonna follow up on that storyline. Dude is basically a side character in his own movie. It's more like a Scarlet Witch movie than anything. It feels centered more around her character and her grieving process after she lost her children, and it has the Illuminati sprinkled in there, you know, a little bit of fan service for the multiverse movies.
Professor Charles Xavier.
I actually enjoyed the first Doctor Strange movie, so seeing how his sequel was reduced to this just makes me disappointed. Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Oh brother, was this movie a steaming pile of nothingness. They picked everyone's least favorite Avengers to have their own movie again, with the sole reason being to introduce what was supposed to be the new big bad of the MCU. There are so many other interesting characters that don't even have one movie. Bro just couldn't keep his hands to himself and got replaced by Robert Downey Jr., who is now playing the new big bad, Doctor Doom, which is kinda stupid. Iron Man's character arc already ended, so for them to bring back the same actor to play a completely different character, this time a villain, there are so many other actors that could play this role. They are getting so obviously desperate because they even brought back the Russo brothers to direct. But yeah, this movie was just another one of those stepping stone movies. But now that the future plans have been scrapped, it's rendered utterly pointless. It's a boring, forgettable film that you can now skip entirely because Kang is out the window. Like, genuinely, who gives a fuck about the quantum realm? I think the only positive about this movie is that they included Lord Krylar. Bill Murray is just the perfect casting choice for this character. I mean, it just looks like Krylar jumped out of the panels and into the big screen. Like, I didn't even notice that it was Bill Murray at first when I was watching it, because I was just so immersed in his performance as Lord Krylar. It was just so good. So good, in fact, y'all know I had to cop that Lord Krylar Funko Pop. Like, I enjoyed Ant-Man 1, but I do not think that this dude should have got 2 more movies. And if anyone wants to actually see Kang in action, just watch Avengers: Earth's Mightiest Heroes, The Marvels. Apparently this movie connects to the overall MCU multiverse storyline, but I'm gonna be honest, I never watched this movie. But like, who did watch this movie? Because I swear the only things I heard about this movie were people dogging on it, and I'm pretty sure they didn't even watch the movie either. Deadpool and Wolverine. Now this is perhaps the biggest offender of multiverse integration making the story bad. This movie was enjoyable to watch for the action, and the fan service was cool the first time I watched. But the more I kept thinking about it after my initial viewing, the less I liked this movie. Now don't get me wrong, this movie is good mindless fun, but it left me feeling hollow. Again, it's like another one of those stepping stone movies that only exists just to show that Deadpool and Wolverine are now canon within the MCU. Again, the plot is one big nothing burger, but at least this time there's a lot of cool action sequences. Seeing as this is Deadpool's last film in his trilogy, I expected more. Instead of developing Deadpool's character, this movie does a 180 to undo all the development he accomplished in the last movie and put him back where he started. Let me explain. The Deadpool trilogy essentially serves as Deadpool's growth into becoming a less cynical, more confident person, and more importantly, a goddamn superhero. The first movie shows that despite his horrifying appearance and dark past, he is still worthy of love. The second one shows that he has people that care about him.
This may not be family you want, but it's family you need. You have a good heart. It belongs here where it can grow.
And that he's capable of being a real hero by saving Cable's family and preventing Russell from becoming evil. He also learns how to deal with the death of his girlfriend.
We were gonna start a family. You know, we were gonna be a family.
But by the end of it, he brings her back. Okay, he has another chance with his girlfriend, you know, surely he's not gonna do it. But all of a sudden, in the third Deadpool movie, he feels like a loser who hasn't done enough, which causes them to break up.
We were gonna start a family.
What the fuck? Where did all of that character development go? Like, I get that Deadpool is a deeply flawed character, but did we really need all three of his movies to be centered around his feelings of inadequacy? It seemed like he had most of his shit sorted out by the end of the second movie, but apparently not. Them breaking up at the beginning of the third movie is just a lazy excuse to make him sad so then they can kickstart the events of the multiverse shit just so they can put him into canon of the MCU. This is stupid. And it doesn't help that this version of Wolverine acts the same way too by sulking for like 90% of the movie. I feel like the movie would have been way better if both of the characters didn't share the same "I'm not enough" character arc. Sure, it was cool to see all of the Fox movie cameos and Hugh Jackman return as Wolverine, but this movie seems more like it was intended as a bittersweet send-off to the failed Fox universe, with Deadpool and Wolverine just inserted in the ensemble. Deadpool and Wolverine don't even need to be in this movie. Like, this movie could have played out the exact same without them. You could replace them with any other hero. They have little to no connection to any of these other characters. And the symbolism is clearly there. They are fighting on the literal grave of 20th Century Fox. I mean, when you think about it, the entire premise of this movie is about reject superheroes proving their worth. And this entire team is full of rejected superheroes everyone forgot about. So why do I like Flash more than this movie? The reason why the Flash movie works for me is because there was a little to no establishment of the character in the DCEU in general. Not only was it just an adaptation of an already popular storyline, but it was his first solo movie in a dying franchise. There are no expectations attached because there won't be a follow-up. Just enjoy the film for what it is. But Deadpool had 3 movies, and for this to be the finale just rubs me the wrong way. He did not have a satisfying character arc like Spider-Man did. I feel like we could have gotten much better. Disappointing. Like, I'm getting tired of superhero movies becoming mindless fan service cash grabs. I miss the simpler times when we got films that could stand on their own and do justice to the source material. There are too many overarching storylines buried between film releases, and I feel like they need to take a step back and give these heroes their own solo stories to work with. That's what built the foundation of the MCU and why films like The Batman worked so well. But if they keep insisting on doing these multiverse shenanigans, at least give the pivotal characters some actual meaningful character growth.